Alright, Gaming Compute, what is up? Another bright and shiny week. I'm leaving the library. Yeah, website's up. It's not the best looking website on the planet, but it's up. So I kind of wanted to talk about the site Infinity Free. As far as I know, it's free hosting, free web builder. I think the web builder is on, I don't think it's called Infinity Free, it's called like site dot something. I think site.com or eu.site.com or something like that. So I don't know why the website builder is kind of like a different platform, but whatever. But yeah, it's completely free to use, and it's pretty, it doesn't look as great as some of the other sites, such as, like I was on, GoDaddy before. It's not as beautiful as GoDaddy. It's not as powerful as some of these other platforms. As far as looks and functionality and things of that nature, it's kind of old school looking. You'll see once you check out gamingcompute.com if you get back on the website again, because it is back up and rolling. It has been for some time, but I wanted to put back in the main logo and everything before I started talking at all about it. But it's ready. It's not done, but it's ready. Pretty much the only thing I have up there is the LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn has a free 60-day trial to use their I guess their posting platform. I can't remember what the name of it was called, but it's supposed to boost you 6.7%. We'll see about that. I've got another project going on. We'll call it a secret project because I'm not revealing what it is. I probably won't. It's in the LGBT niche. Other than that, I don't really want to say any more about it. But it's yeah, that's the niche that it's in, and I'm not really gonna be talking too much about what I'm posting on there and whatnot, but it did make its first couple buckaroonies, less than a couple buckaroonies. It made less than $2, but that's fine. But that's a start, you know, so I'll take it. And I'll be talking about that niche project in a while as far as digital marketing and everything. Now I'm realizing there is some power in the X/Twitter platform. I guess one thing I'm enjoying about it is that, as much as I don't enjoy all the politics and everything that are just like spammed all over the place and that you can't really avoid it, I do like that they're a little more open-minded, a lot less of the censorship in comparison to places like YouTube. You can kind of post a little bit more freely. You might get restricted to some extent, but it's not like YouTube, how like if they see like the wrong thing once or like a little bit, they're gonna just like ban you. Or not like TikTok Shop, how if they see one little thing that they think, if you put the color silver and you're not supposed to be selling precious metals, but you're talking about the color of an item being the color silver, like they just don't have a good review process, and you get all these violations. So far I've had one issue, and I don't know where it stemmed from, and it seemed to last less than 24 hours on X, regarding this new niche project. Now, I haven't given up on all the other sales stuff. But that definitely took a whole lot of my time and energy away from actually learning things that I felt like would be from learning things that I felt would be worthwhile. All the eBay stuff and the TikTok shop stuff and those types of things. I mean, I don't really mind trying to sell like physical products or reselling products, but it's at a point where it's quite tedious and it's not really all that great. I have not had a very good experience with it. It's really not all that great. In my opinion, that's just my own personal views and opinions. I just haven't enjoyed it. And I haven't really enjoyed YouTube either, to be honest. As a consumer or a creator, it's just, my VPN stopped working on my phone that blocks the ads, that Luna VPN, or maybe I deleted something that was blocking the ads because I did free up space on my phone over the weekend and deleted a whole bunch of the apps, but I don't remember which app would have directly been connected with that. But I started getting ads as of this morning and I was not pleased. But I kind of realized, I'm like, okay, like this sucks. Some of these things kind of suck. I'm not trying to be super negative about it, but it's like, I kind of remember the good old days and how easy it was to just like post things and make cash. And, I rarely came across any of this other stuff that I've been coming across with YouTube or with all these kind of violations and restrictions that are being placed with, all these platforms that are just kind of getting in the way of people earning money. Now, I'm not even saying like even necessarily making a living, but I mean, it used to be easy to just make like $10 a day without having to like, fight for your life on there and spend hours and hours on end. Even Uber is the same. It's like I talk to friends who do Uber and, Uber Eats anyways. I don't know about the rides, but I know about Uber Eats delivery, like food delivery and stuff. It's, sometimes you just don't get any orders and you're just like, okay, I have a friend today who got like $8 and was online for quite a long time. Like the majority of the time that I was in the library for almost 2 hours, he made $8. The other day, I could have made 2 deliveries on Saturday. Both of them I skipped. One of them was like a Rite Aid pay out of pocket thing, and then the other one was a drive up in these hills, and it was really foggy Saturday morning in this area, so I didn't really want to be up in like rolling hills up on these like cliff sides and stuff. It just stresses me out being up there when it's like that, so I try not to. But today I got another order that went up to Rolling Hills in the afternoon and it was just fine. But I logged on earlier Saturday, so Saturday, I missed out on maybe $18 of 2 orders. Today I got 2 back-to-back orders that were maybe like $14 total. I haven't checked, but that's how much it said I was going to make. And then that was my goal for the day, so I called it quits. I'm not really needing to make a whole lot of money right now. My goal is like $14 a day for the next, for how many days? I think till $14 a day till March 7th. And so, that'll pay for the extras that I'm trying to pay for. And then other than that, I don't really need more. I started using the Fizz card. Right now I'm using it for groceries because I got groceries over the weekend, but it also has options for subscriptions and for transportation like gas. And so I'm going to try to strategically plan some of the next purchases I have. I guess you can change it once a week. So the next time I have subscription payments, I'll change it to subscriptions. It doesn't count all your groceries. I ordered some stuff off Amazon Fresh. It doesn't count all your groceries. some of the stuff that was groceries, it counts it as shopping, just depending on if it's going through Amazon Fresh or not. Because some of your Amazon Fresh orders go through Amazon Prime, and like especially if it's not like fresh food. I mean, some of it doesn't go through Prime, but some of it does, or goes through like Whole Foods or Bristol Farms or something else. So it kind of just depends where it's sending you, what it's going to categorize things as. But I'm just, trying to start the week out optimistic. It might not sound like it, but I've kind of got a game plan for the week, at least taking me through the end of this month of February and through the first week of March. I pretty much know what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be doing lunch deliveries for an hour to 2 hours, and then library for a couple hours. Before that, I'm going to be working out, and then dinner once I'm home, and then probably another little workout. And that sounds like a full day to me. I don't think I need too much more than that. But, yeah, I'm trying to just, like, embrace it all. Bringing my snacks with me. I brought lunch with me, leftovers, and I make too much overnight oats in the morning. When I've been working out, I've been making the overnight oats. It only takes, like, 10 minutes to soak them, and then they're ready to eat. And so I've been bringing that with me. Whatever I don't eat for breakfast, just bringing it on the road so that after I have lunch, I can go and do what I've got to do online, not from the house. And then once I'm out of that, I just had a little snack of overnight oats that was from this morning, actually. And that'll kind of sustain me if I've got to go home and cook dinner. I don't know yet, because I don't know what might already be on the stove or not. If nothing's on the stove, I'll cook. If something's on the stove, I won't. But it just kind of makes me a little less hangry and kind of gives me a little something in my stomach. I got a free Wingstop beverage today because they were taking a while when I was waiting for the orders. And so I got a vitamin water pink lemonade. So it's kind of sustained me and refreshed me, and that was nice. And it was a nice day. Overall, it was a nice day. It's sunny out here in Southern California. High 60s. I went to the beach yesterday to watch the sunset. It brought in the week quite nicely. And, I'm just trying to live life to the fullest. Enjoy my weeks. Stick to the game plan. I'm realizing, when you try to study digital marketing, it's really complicated to try to find new information. I was looking at the library, and their newest book was from 2022. I mean, a lot of times with digital marketing, like people say, it's like anyone who creates content, you kind of know how fast things shift. It's like by the time the book is out, we've moved past that. And it's kind of the same with like how I'm posting on the podcast. It's like by the time, people have figured out the new stuff about eBay, or by the time I've mentioned it, it's like this might not even be a problem with Vero restrictions and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully it changes for the better, but I don't really know if it will. But I'm kind of moved on from that. I'm just going with the path of least resistance as far as platforms are concerned. Like I feel like I put in my time, I'm not like quitting too soon. I feel like I'm kind of sticking to things a little way longer than what is necessary. But for the sake of content, you guys, I want to give you guys something that's of some kind of value. Because I know if I'm coming up on certain issues, I can't be the only one. Like, other people are definitely coming up on these issues. And if I can say anything that might be of any assistance, I'm always down for that. Take one for the team, and, grind it out and see if I can find any kind of solutions. But unless something major changes with all that, I really don't see myself doing too much as far as like continuing the Vero restriction content, unless it just goes crazy for some reason. But pretty much the next content I'm going to be posting, I'm going to be tracking this other project. When I get sales on the reselling beauty products, I will tell you about them. I probably won't screen record. But I did want to talk about, because Biaheza's episodes are kind of rolling back in here and there. I did notice he had a brand new video out that was a drop shipping video again, using I think it's his program, AutoDS. Now I would say be careful. One thing I did realize, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but one thing I did realize is that he doesn't mention how much he spent as far as on advertising. Now, in his course, he used to reveal that, and some of his other free content, he used to reveal that. I believe some of the free content. But in this new video, I don't know if it's the newest one I've seen. There might be a newer one since, but it's like either the newest as of now, and I'll post it in the description, or the newest from before whatever his recent post is at this time. He's kind of not saying how much he invested in all of this. He kind of mentions how much time. He comes up on kind of like weird restrictive types of stuff too, and kind of his workaround was that I can't remember the restriction or the issue, but he basically had some other profile that he was able to log into, and that helped him to bypass some of these issues. So when I look at people's content, I kind of think about stuff like that. I'm like, the average Joe who's trying to use AutoDS and find a winning product, create a store, create ads, post the ads, and then make sales in 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever that looks like, with no money. I don't know if that's going to be a thing anymore. I mean, I think AutoDS has a free trial, I believe. That's what it appeared to seem like. I don't remember for how long. So I would say if you're going to use that, probably watch a bunch of tutorials first, so that you're not wasting time not knowing how to use the software and having to learn that. Because say if you get 7 days, I mean, it can take you 7 days to figure out just how to use the stuff. I would say, have a website, maybe a template already kind of built out and everything. And then once you find your niche, and the product, you can build the brand around that. I can't remember if he used Shopify or what he was using as a store. They do sometimes they have $1 trials, or if you're using it through TikTok, there's a basic version, a very basic version that doesn't have a lot of color to it, that you can use. I mean, there are options of things, but I just don't think it's gonna always be perfect. Like it always seems like oh, we're here, we're making this money online, but it's like, okay, if you were in a newbie's shoes following that video, I think you might get stuck at the restrictive stage with the violations, whatever those restrictions or violations were. The average Joe's going to get stuck there for however many days that's going to take. Your AutoDS trial might run out by the time the platform figures it out for you. You've also got to be careful with payment gateways, because sometimes they'll hold your money. You've got to be careful with advertising on like cold sites. If you don't have a site that's been up maybe 2 to 3 days, and you're just cold, like Instagram, wherever you're selling on Instagram, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, You want to warm the site a little bit. You want to warm, those handles a little bit. You don't want them to be just like cold, because that does change the engagement somewhat. And then throwing money into it, you don't want to throw it all in at once. You want to throw in a bit, see how it works, adjust after you've thrown in some money. Make sure that you kind of have a timeline on things. Even A/B test some things. I'd even say A/B test some platforms. I'm not so aware of the full functionality of the Auto DS free version compared to the full paid version, but it is not cheap. I don't remember the cost, but it is not cheap. I've looked at it before. It's not cheap, but it's a free trial. You can get other types of free trials, but they do fulfill your orders. But I'm wondering, say if it is, I don't know, it might be a 7-day, might be a 14-day, might be a 30-day trial. I don't really remember, because I watched this video a long time ago and I didn't refresh my memory before I started recording this episode here. But these are just the tips I'm thinking, is when somebody says they're making money online, but they're not telling you how much money they put in to get whatever profit they got out, how much are they paying? He's not paying for AutoDS if it's his. He's had past Shopify stores. He could probably change them, to meet his needs. And like I mentioned, and like he mentioned in his video, he was able to bypass some of the restriction process. I don't remember the restriction, but pay attention to what he says he got restricted for. That kind of stuff can hold you in one place for a while and keep you from even starting or being able to start or starting soon. Any of these kind of restrictions and things that you have to like wait on them to review, and then you can't contact these customer service people a lot of times. Like, you're just waiting and waiting. And so I'm just thinking, worst case scenario, if, for example, and I don't know if this is 100%, but if, for example, if the AutoDS free trial is 7 days, it's very likely that you might not have enough time to actually make money off something in a new niche that you don't know much about, just by going by their winning products. And again, he found the product that fulfilled orders out of the U.S. I don't know, they might have stuff out of China, but auto fulfilling out of the U.S., your profit's a little bit less. And like I've mentioned, if there's all these places that are trying to restrict, I don't know if they can restrict you off Shopify or some of these other platforms, but if some of these major brand companies do kind of find some kind of issue like they're doing on eBay, I mean, you might be screwed. So I would just say pay attention to the things that are not being said. I'm not trying to like hate on Biaheza, because I've liked his work all the way to this point, but it's one video that I've seen from him where I'm like, this isn't like his others. He's kind of leaving out some of the details, and it is good information for starters, but I feel like it wasn't the full picture. And I did notice before his class or his course, I don't know, unless he's changed it, he hasn't been selling his course newly anymore. And so unless you have like a login from purchasing it in the past, you don't have access to his paid information. I found it very helpful, but it's not, I guess he's not really, I mean, it's old now. He might be updating it, I don't know, but it's kind of older now. The user interfaces don't look the same. A lot of the SEO processes aren't the same. There's kind of more you have to put in. You have to put in more work now than you used to. Sometimes you even have to put in more money. Like, a lot of these platforms that used to be free or cost less money cost more money now. Advertising costs more money now. Hosting, if you're trying to get a website or an online store and then have it hosted and all that kind of stuff, and paying for the domain name, depending, might not cost you more, but it might. It depends. Like, I haven't seen too much of an increase in domain names. But like I said, like I was using GoDaddy and their website builder with their hosting, and their hosting costs a lot of money now. Um, and I was like, I need to cut this expense. I prefer to cut the expense, even if my website now doesn't look as beautiful. It was a pretty beautiful looking site. Now it looks like it's from like the 1980s, but I'm still working on it. It's gonna take a little bit for me to kind of like get in there and dig in there. Infinity Free is definitely it's free. Um, the way to use it in general, there are some tutorials, but some things that they left out. You have to make a free account first, so you can use like a, what do you call it, like an extension instead of .com. If you own your own .com, you first have to make one that has one of their provided extensions. So I first made a game and compute .infinity free website, and then that created my account, and I was able to go into that account and put in my already previously purchased domain name from GoDaddy.com, the one that I was having hosted on GoDaddy. It's now hosted on Infinity Free. It took a little bit to kind of figure it out, and then I had accidentally deleted like the CNAME record. I had accidentally deleted that, so I went back in and I had to kind of give them permission. I had to give some kind of SSL thing because it was showing SSL error. I had to give some other kind of permissions for certain things. There were like 3 different things I had to do. So, and it took a while to kind of load everything up. And then the site.com or eu.site.com or whatever the website builder is on, that site is, it doesn't have full functionality if you don't pay for the hosting. Now, the free hosting, you get a contacts page and a home page, and I think you can have 1 or 2 other pages in addition to that. So say, for example, how a lot of websites have the home page, then it might link to, like, you might link it to your YouTube, then you might link it to your LinkedIn, and then you have an already built-in contacts page. You can't keep adding more pages, and then unless you pay. And then I think there's a shop. You can put there's a shopping cart. I think you can create a shop, but I don't know. I think the shop, you also have to pay. Now, I don't know what their payment plans look like because I don't intend on using their payment plans. If I was going to pay for something, I'd rather just go back to GoDaddy, but unless it's like $0.01 a month or something. But I've never heard of anybody using Infinity Free for an online shop. But it might be a cheaper option. It might not be. I don't really know. I haven't looked, but I kind of do want to go in and look. So the more I kind of learn about Infinity Free, I'll be updating you guys as I update this website. I just decided to keep it launched because I'm like, if I wait another week just to do like 20 minutes of edits, it's like I might as well just put it up with its ugly self. And there's not really a lot on there anyways. It's just a homepage, and then my LinkedIn for it is the contacts, and that's basically all I've really got on there. And I think maybe the podcast link, which is the main place where I post in the first place, and I just take the podcast episodes, and that's the majority of the content that I post, because for this kind of content, it's a little bit easier for me just to talk about it. But I don't know, like, I think we're in a new world, guys. 2025, it started happening in 2024. I mean, it's been happening. Everything's been changing, but, those of us who like to create online, our lives are changing before our eyes. and it's harder and harder to keep up. I'm not trying to discourage people. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there of the stuff that I notice when I come across it. You know, a lot of creators want to make it look like this stuff is easy, which it is if you have the time and energy to do it, and you come across a niche that is, you know, already getting plenty of organic traffic. You want that niche to be something that's not so competitive that everybody's talking about it. Like if you had a niche that was talking about Fox News or something, I don't know, like you might get a lot of actual content. Or if it was talking about political issues and things, you might get a lot of content out of it. If you're talking about current events or whatever, or just something controversial, or some kind of like straight gender dating kind of like men are like this and women are like this kind of thing, like that's pretty popular right now. Anything about credit building, making money, if you actually know what you're talking about and you can prove that you've done it before, don't lie, because people will find out that you're lying, and there's no use in putting in a whole bunch of effort to something that's not truthful. A lot of people do it though. You see it a lot with all of these, like, make $1,500 a week or whatever, working 30 hours from home or whatever, and then you try to find the job listings, and it doesn't seem like people ever, like, even if you look in the comments, you'd think somebody would be in there like, oh, I got the job. It's like, I don't think these people are getting the jobs, but that's a niche that's pretty popular, but I don't really know if it's good. There's this one guy, Lesko, he's kind of scammy. He's an old guy who's kind of like a wacky, kind of zany looking dude. He's got, like, I don't know, his hair and his glasses and his way of speaking and his suits and clothing and stuff. He's got like a lot of flashy, flary, I don't want to call him a clown, not like that, but it's like he dresses very eccentric and a lot of people follow him, and when you look kind of at his success rates, it also seems like people aren't really happy. They've never gotten anything out of his products, and if you check on Better Business Bureau, he doesn't seem like he's had a lot of success on there. So I don't know, like, just be careful if you're trying to follow people's methods. I'm not saying that my methods are like the best methods on the face of the planet. I'm just saying, you know, I try to look at things and try to talk about them in a way that could be of some assistance to people, especially the newbies who might not know. You know, if somebody's saying that you can make this much money, you got to ask, how much money are they putting into it? Because it sounds all good and fun to be like, oh, I can use all this stuff for free. And then you find out it's not free. And you've already spent all this time. Like, do you know how long it takes to make maybe like a new Gmail account? And then you take that new Gmail account and you use it, and you know, maybe if you go on to AutoDS and you make a new, you know, profile on there as a free trial for however many free days you're going to get. And then you take that free trial and, you know, you find a niche, you find a winning product, you build up a store, you start getting the option for orders to get fulfilled. However much you're spending on the store, however much you're spending on order fulfillment, if it's not free up front. And then you're making social media accounts such as Instagram and Facebook and whatever else you're trying to make, you know, so that you can post content on it, TikTok or whatever, and post ads and, you know, track the ads and track the analytics and see what's doing well and see what's not getting any traffic. And that's if you don't get restricted along any of these routes to where somebody or something or some platform is kind of like getting in your way, telling you that you can or cannot do something because of whatever reason. And then however long it takes to resolve that, and then your money is just thrown into these, you know, either you throw it at Fiverr for someone to help you do it, or you throw it somewhere else, and it can be a money pit, like usually the way I started was, whenever I get money from family, say Valentine's Day, Christmas, that kind of thing. Like for holidays, my family, mostly my folks, there are three of us, me and my siblings, me and my two siblings, and then my parents. But there are three of us, kids of those parents. We're adults, all of us. But our parents usually just give us cash for holidays, and so that's usually what I've spent as far as investing in any kind of projects and things. If I'm buying products, if I'm paying for domain names, if I'm paying for other stuff, it's coming from holiday money usually. It's not usually my paychecks, or it's money that is bonus money from something like overtime or something like Uber Eats. That's usually how I fund these things, or doing like some kind of side hustle that's going to bring in money, and I'll reflow it back into the same or a different project. Usually I'm not taking my hard-earned cash and throwing it into these projects, because I'm like, I need that money for my life, for my regular expenses and my regular saving and investing, but a lot of people spend that kind of money on these projects, and it's not hard to spend $200, $400. It all adds up. Like when you think of how long is it going to take you, if you don't want to pay straight up to have a Shopify store open for the whole year at, I don't know if it's $20 to $30 a month, versus paying monthly at nearly $40 a month. $40 a month just to have the store open. That's before you're even making sales. That's before you're paying advertising. If you don't know how to make a website and all that, if you've never made an online store or a website, or even like purchased a template or anything along, or found a free template that worked for you or anything along those lines, I mean, there's a learning curve for all this stuff. You could pay someone else to do it, or you could learn to do it yourself. But it all takes time, and if you're working a full-time job or going to school full-time, it does help to just get into beast mode. If you have like a three-day weekend, like the past, like President's Day, or like, just weekends when you're working on this kind of stuff or whatever. But once it's up and running, if you have a full running social media platform, you've got to check it. You've got to make sure it's running properly. You've got to make sure people aren't like fighting each other. You've got to make sure if you're getting orders, you're fulfilling them properly. You've got to make sure you're not getting scammed in the process. There's a lot of scammy people out there. The more you put your social media and yourself out there to try to promote your products, the more people are going to be spamming you and trying to scam you along the route. And you're just like, I'm not saying it's hopeless. I'm just saying it's not like it used to be. You used to just be able to put up a store and just like put up a couple links, and nobody was saying you can't put links here or there. You used to just put up links on Reddit or whatever the heck, and start getting sales. And now it's like, can you even post the links? Are you going to get banned? Is this item like something that you can't sell in the US, or is it missing some kind of manufacturer's like certification, or some kind of random process that needs to get checked all the time? It's like, you never know, and every platform's so different from another platform. You just never know what's going to happen. So I would just say, try and not give in too much to the hype. I'm not saying that you can't make sales, or that you won't do it, or that it won't work. Plenty of people are plenty successful. I've used Biaheza's methods in the past and been successful with them. I've used other people's methods in the past and been successful with them. I would just say, if you think you're going to do something in 3 days or 24 hours or 7 days, all the stuff that are barriers that come up, those are the things that people aren't talking about. They're not talking about how much money they actually put in. How much was the total cost, their domain name, with the advertising, with the whatever they're paying for ads, with whatever they're paying for whoever might be even helping them, with however many subscriptions you have to have, and if you have an online store, however many apps you have to have. a lot of those apps used to be free. Some of them aren't even free anymore. If you're on Shopify, it's like it's not even free. And so, you know, and a lot of platforms you may have made money if it was like YouTube or Spotify or Anchor or whatever it may have been. You might have had that CPM, RPM kind of like rolling into your wallet, Patreon, whatever it may be. You might have been making a little bit of extra on the side, a buck here and there, and then it changes, and they change, Medium when you're blogging and things like that. Like, if I think about all these things I mentioned have changed since the beginning of 2024. This time of year in 2024, a lot of those things I mentioned were free or cost less money than they do now. There weren't a lot of extra restrictions on people. It's getting harder and harder because, some of these bigger corporations are just kind of like eating up all the profits that are out there. And, I'm wondering what's going to happen to us little guys. We're kind of getting squeezed out. If you want some motivational stuff, check out Craigslist Hunter. He's got some really cool content. He's got like a pawn and used store, where people pawn stuff for a loan, or they get store credit, or they sell stuff for cash. And he posts a lot of his stuff, not like, even if it's in the store, he posts it on eBay. He's built up his own platform for online selling. And so if you do have a niche that's profitable and you think he could help you, you could apply to be on his store, because he seems to have, at least in the past when he first opened it, he was looking for some people in maybe specific niches, or people that would be a good fit for his store, who have proof of sales. And like, there's a lot out there that's interesting, that's changing, and it's like, that's a whole thing. If you're creating a platform where people can sell stuff, I mean, that might be a better route than even, trying to sell stuff online, depending if you know how to do it, and, if you're trying to create like an avenue for people to kind of follow, some kind of things that you're doing. Like, mostly what I like to talk about is, what I like, kind of poking holes in things a little bit, and like revealing. I'm not trying to like trash anybody. I'm just saying, like, I kind of see things sometimes where I'm like, they left that out. And I get curious. I'm like, well, I wonder what that number was. Like with the Biaheza video, I'm like, I wonder what that number was, that he was, what was the number? Like, what did he actually spend? What were his total expenses? He usually seems to be pretty transparent. But now things, I don't know, he hasn't been posting as much. He had his podcast with his homies, that nonchalant podcast. It didn't last too long, unfortunately. It seemed like a big project, and then he kind of got off of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I think he got married and everything. I don't really know what he's up to. I don't really know, but it's good if he wants to keep his life private. That's good, I've always liked his content, so whenever I see something new from him, I'm like, oh, I want to know like what he's talking about. And this is the one video that I could say I saw, and I was a little bit surprised that there was a little bit of missing information. Maybe it was accidental, but I feel like it was it could have potentially been slightly misleading. Like I said, I don't know how long you get the free trial for AutoDS. I don't know how long, if you came across the same restrictions he did, how long it would actually take for that to get processed and get you back up on your feet to be able to actually like run your store and everything. I don't know how much he's spending on ads. I don't know the time frame that he was, posting ads for, if it was a week or a day or what. I don't know exactly all the platforms. I think he used, I don't even want to say now if it was Facebook. I thought it was, but I've watched so many videos that I might be mixing his up with someone else's. I'm gonna post the link though. You guys watch it yourselves, and you'll see if I'm making any mistakes based on not remembering things correctly. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it too. But those are some things that still, even a few days later, I'm like, I wonder, I'm curious about what he did with certain things. Because in the past he's been pretty transparent, but like I'm saying, things have changed. Like if you think about his last drop shipping video compared to this current drop shipping video, it's not the same. You couldn't use, well, you could, there are some methods that are going to definitely overlap, but all the details would be different. Whatever he's paying, those costs are going to be different today than they would have been a few months back or even a year or two back. He used to build Instagram theme pages. The process of being able to do that is different. TikTok wasn't even on the chart too much when he was first, creating content. I don't know if this red note is anything that people can use. You can't use TikTok on your phone anymore. People say you can, but I've tried a couple methods and I haven't been able to get it to work. And it's just how it is, like I don't really know what more to really say about all that. It's like, where do you take something? Where do you take something that's, I feel like his content was trusted in the past. Like I'm not just sitting here trying to trash him. He's done far more than I've done, but at least on that level with things. But I don't know. Like I just think be careful. There's a lot of clickbait out there. It's hard to know what is or isn't clickbait. If somebody's like, oh, proof that I made this much money, it's like, yeah, you made that much money, but how much of it's profit and how much did you put in and how long did you put that much money in for? I think the average Joe can maybe lose like $15 a week, maybe like, even if it's $20 a day or something, but most people aren't trying to lose like $200 a day just to see what happens. Most people aren't trying to lose like thousands of dollars in a month. Most people also aren't trying to buy like a whole stack full of like sweatshirts to have them shipped to your house just to not be able to sell them. It's like, that's where platforms like Etsy and things like that come in handy. But you can't fully brand your Etsy account. Like you can't make it a .com, I don't think. So a lot of platforms, they have their costs and their benefits to them. But yeah, I would just say, be careful out there. It's not all as easy as it may seem, but it just depends too. Like if you find a niche that people are into, like near Super Bowl, you probably could have made a lot of money off of like t-shirts and stuff. San Diego has a new MLS team. Finally, they have an MLS team. San Diego's slacking on their major league sports, but they've got an MLS team that apparently just did good and beat Galaxy. They beat LA. So that's a good start for a new team. They're a relatively new team. I think the first game was this month in February of 2025. So you could probably create content around that if there's it's kind of like a sports niche, but it's not it's probably not too oversaturated yet, and I don't know if you can sell apparel and things like that and make it actually work if it's someone else's brand. But I've seen outside of concerts and some sports games people making t-shirts and selling them and stuff like that. Souvenirs, that impulse buy, that memorabilia from like an event and things like that. You might be able to capitalize on something like that, like it's a brand new team. They're probably not gonna go away like very soon. I mean, they've been sleeping on MLS. I mean, MLS was what, 1995, so they're kind of late, but I mean, okay, like they came out with a team finally. I don't know what's going to happen to San Diego Loyal. I do think that the women's, Waves team in San Diego put them on the map because, you know, people in San Diego, for whatever reason, they're not like LA fans. I'm used to LA where it's like we are diehard about our teams and people rep the teams and people love the games and people buy tickets and they actually go to the events. In San Diego, it doesn't seem like they're able to keep that many teams. The Chargers left and came to LA. I don't know what the process is for those types of things, but I don't know if it's their fault or not. But I remember when I first moved to San Diego, they were saying, my roommate was saying that, not enough people go to the game, so they don't screen them live on TV. I don't really know if that's the reasoning behind it, but he was saying he can't really watch the games live, the local games live sometimes. And so that's just something that, you got to think about. But I'm pretty sure there are plenty of sports fans in San Diego who are just waiting for teams, Like, they've got the Padres still, but that's kind of the only team major league-wise that they've had. I mean, they have other sports and other teams. And San Diego had the Wave, that's the women's team. But, they didn't have the men. The men had the Loyal, SD Loyal. But yeah, taking on things like that, where it's like, it's something new enough, you could look into it. It's something new enough that it has some traction, some fans. Sports are kind of a big deal. Sports betting is a big deal now too, and things like that. Like, if you get in new on the ground floor of a team that's brand new, you can probably learn everything about it pretty quickly compared to all these teams that have all this history. I'm just thinking, things like that, like if you don't want to like talk about the economy or talk about politics and stuff like that, you can talk about other things, that, if you know enough about them or have enough of an interest, you can talk about them. So, and getting on the ground floor of something when it's new, whether that's software, you can make tutorials about software. Those do really well. Just step by step. I would say not one big long video, but break it down into like short segments so that people could follow your content, and you're releasing a little at a time and like showing people the projects you make, and something that you wouldn't mind somebody stealing, because people will steal your stuff, like, that's why I don't talk about a lot of my projects. I'm like, I'll tell you the generals, but I don't want to send out links like, here's my online store, here's my X account for this new niche that I'm working on a project with. Like, I try not to really be fully transparent with every single thing. I can talk about the process, and people who are kind of like in that niche or want to be in a similar niche or just a different niche altogether and want to try to like follow some of the steps that I found that work, you can follow along. Right, lately I feel like I've been talking more about the stuff that doesn't work, the stuff that's frustrating to deal with, because that's something that I mean, if I'm coming across it, it's like other people are too. Like the thing how Spotify, when Anchor and Spotify had their whole little switcheroo thing going on, and you could no longer post podcast episodes from your phone. I was just like, what the heck is this? Like, I don't want this, and I was ranting all over the internet about it. And then that eventually became Vero. The Vero restriction process that kind of screwed up my Thanksgiving, holiday shopping season. At least I got some content out of it, but I'm like, I was trying to make sales out of it. I wasn't trying to like make, podcast episodes out of it. But, at least I've got projects under my belt and some problem solving under my belt. But yeah, like, I think that's mostly what I have to say for today. It's a lot of information, I know, but I haven't posted in a bit. I need to eat dinner. um, but I hope you guys like this. I hope it's helpful. I'm gonna post it up once I kind of rest tonight because it's been a long Monday, but a good day, and I hope you guys are doing well. Black History Month is almost over. The month of February is almost over. It's about to be March already. On Saturday is the first day of March. So guys, hang in there. You know, keep your hope alive, and hopefully things get better for everybody and smoother for everybody. And, make your cash, find ways to make your money. It's not easy out there, but, if you're diligent and you're not an impulsive spending person, you can find ways to make money and not overspend and just have something rolling in, even though it might not be, maybe you're not going to pay your rent or your car payment or buy a new car right away or anything like that. It could become that, but it might not. And I heard something on, this will be what I end with, but I heard something on Peter Santinello's video when he was in, I don't remember what state, I want to say it was Arizona, and he was talking to some brothers or people who went into business and they purchased a ghost town, and there are people who kind of still live there, and it's like a little artist community, artistic people living there, and it's got a cool vibe to it, a little Wild Westness going on, but it's pretty cool, like they said something about, the people who own the town. These two guys were talking, and they're like, yeah, like, success involves failure. You're not gonna succeed without failing. Like, the first thing you try might not work, but if you give up every time something doesn't work, you're never gonna get anywhere. And I kind of realized that today when I was even doing work at the library. I was like, wow, I'm just like banging through these things. Like, I can kind of just think pretty quickly and like, okay, like, post these links and then post that over here and then like write this blog post and do this over here, and like I can just do it now. Like, I don't have to look up the SEO for like blog posts. I don't have to look up, how to like embed a link in a thing. Like, I don't have to like look a lot of stuff up. I just know how to do it. But I remember back when I didn't know how to do anything, and I remember other things I've done in the past where I've tried really hard and definitely failed and fell on my face, and it wasn't easy, and had to kind of crawl up out of a hole after that. Like, it's never fun. And then you have people for years, 1 or 2 or 3 years that you don't really see, that are still asking you about, oh, what about that you were doing? Or are you still doing that? Are you involved in that? And then you have to keep telling people, at least a little bit about what happened or whatever. And then, or maybe there's people spreading rumors about your life or whatever. It's like, that's, or you could just sit at home and play video games all day and do nothing productive, and have nothing to show for it other than in-app purchases, and, you remembered some actors that, were in some movies that you watched on Netflix. Other than that, it's like, yeah, you can veg out all day and do nothing, or you can try and fail or make mistakes, or at least make something out of it. Like, that's why I'm kind of like, okay, at least if I'm hitting road bumps, the least I can do is create content for a community that's probably new to things and also hitting road bumps, and or brick walls or potholes or whatever it may be that you're running into in the middle of projects where it's supposed to be making you money or gaining you traffic or giving you some analytics to track, and you can't figure out why or why not. There's going to be a lot in the way these days, and I feel like it's only going to get harder. And, I hope this is a good resource for people. I know I rant a lot and I kind of go off topic and just talk about whatever, but I hope if you guys listen to this while you're driving in traffic or at the gym or something, you at least have some ideas to work with I hope it helps. So here is one of our daily sirens. Hopefully wherever they're going, the people will get helped fast enough. And with that, I'm going to go and end my day and go veg out and be online. I'll probably post this later, but I'm just going to chill for the evening because it's late. It's almost 5 o'clock now in 9 minutes. And I've been talking for an hour. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't worry, the website looks like crap. It's just there. It's going to be fixed more little by little. And then, yeah, I've got a little time to post for the next week and a half, so I will be doing so. Thanks for listening.